out a big, delicious pancake.
Madam, you've done it again.
Oh, dearie my. Perhaps a lot of little ones would have been better. I mean, better. Run for cover! The giant pancake is after us!
Hello, this is TFG1Mike, and welcome to the... Wait a minute. That's the wrong number. What the hell?
What's that?
You talk about doing... Yeah. It says 48th. I know I didn't write that.
What copy do you have?
52.
What script are you looking at?
Wait.
It says 52nd.
That's an outtake.
I am Adora, He-Man's twin sister and defender of the Crystal Castle. This is Spirit, my beloved steed. Fabulous secrets were revealed to me the day I held aloft my sword and said, "For the honor of GRAYSKULL!" I am She-Ra! Only a few others share this secret. Among them are Light Hope, Madame Raz, and Cowl. Together, we and my friends of the Great Rebellion strive to free Etheria from the evil forces of Horde.
Hello, this is... I can't even talk. Yeah, apparently so. Hello, this is TFG1Mike, and welcome to the 52nd chapter in the Powers of GRAYSKULL series. With me for this journey into the Masters of the Universe franchise is none other than OptimusSolo himself. Hello.
I'm glad you were able to get through that, sir.
Shut the hell up. I don't know what the fuck that was. All right. So, are you ready for the Powers of GRAYSKULL, sir?
I'm always ready for some Powers of GRAYSKULL. I mean, we're fairly young still in the She-Ra series, fairly early on, I guess. So there's still a lot of characters I'm looking forward to seeing. So
I do know for a fact that She-Ra and Jem are going to be going up against each other in the GCRN awards next year.
Yeah, true that.
Because Steve told me that he's working on the layout of how the awards are going to be done and how people can vote and stuff, and he took certain shows out, like shows that have already ended and stuff, and put new shows in that hadn't been in, and Showtime and POGS. Well, POGS won last year, but
Damn
Showtime, yeah, Showtime Synergy wasn't in last year because it actually started after the awards last year. So it's going to be interesting to see who wins the award this year, Showtime or Powers of GRAYSKULL with She-Ra.
You got 3 hosts. That's more fan base.
Wait a minute, what?
Isn't there 3 of you on Synergy?
Yeah. And the funny thing is, it's the first time where the male dominant of the species is in the minority, because it's Amy, Nicole, and myself. So it's like it's the first time in our nearly 7-year history where we've had 2 female hosts versus 2 male hosts and a female host or whatever else.
Right.
So yeah. Oh man. Oh god, that show. Oh, if people could be a fly on the wall when we produced that show, oh my god. The 3 of us. I told them they need to pay my medical bills if I have to go in and have to have my jaw wired shut from just laughing so much.
Nice.
Want to give everybody a little bit of background. This is episode 52. This is our final episode of 2015, celebrating 30 years of She-Ra. And it just so happens that we are airing this in December, and the last episode of the review today will be Horde Prime Takes a Holiday.
Yeah, fitting.
So this is our first Christmas episode. Next Christmas is when we're going to get to, Christmas 2016 is when we're going to get to the dreaded He-Man and She-Ra Christmas special.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, exactly. So today, as I mentioned in Myths of Etheria, we'll be giving you our thoughts on episode... Oh my god, it's the wrong thing.
I think you put all your notes into the wrong script or something.
No, I didn't. It's 16, 17, and 18, yep. Right? Today we're going to give our thoughts on episode 16, Duel at Devlan, episode 17, whatever the hell it's...
Lost for words.
Yeah, there we go. And episode 18, Horde Prime Takes.
It works because you were lost for words.
Yeah, it kind of does, doesn't it? Oh, shit. This is going to be
Shadow
an interesting
Weaver's got you in her grasp.
Somebody does. I don't know. It must be that spicy demon over there. Anyway, we're going to get to the first episode unless you have anything else to say, or I don't know.
Good God, I hope it gets better from here.
You think?
Got to get some sleep. Hey, in there! We can't sleep with all that noise!
Then why don't you join the party? Dance for us, citizen.
I beg your pardon, kind sir, but I can't dance.
Then it's time you learned how.
Darius, why doesn't someone do something? Be careful.
Excuse me, gentlemen, but you have to leave now.
Either Darius has a lot of guts or he's playing stupid.
It's all right, Darius. I'm having a wonderful time.
You see, innkeeper, he's having a wonderful time. Perhaps you'd care to join him.
Oh, no, please. Just finish eating and go. And don't worry about paying. The pie's on me.
Hear that, my friends? The pie's on him. Shall we? That cream's looking a little flat. I think it needs to be whipped.
Kristalla, no! You leave my father alone!
I think you need a lesson in how to respect your elders.
Please, Kristalla, go back to your room.
Let us go, men. We've had enough fun for one night.
Okay, you better start talking now before I screw anything else up.
All right, first up today is episode 16, Duel at Devlan. Air date, actually, December 6th, 1985. So this is going to be where we veer off the course from production to air date wise, because we were technically in October with all the rest of the shows when they're airing. This one got saved and didn't air until December. It was written by Stephen Fisher. The village of Devlan is being terrorized by a group of hordemen led by a super advanced robot called Dylamug. A young girl called Kristalla goes to Shira for help. Shira accompanies Kristalla back to Devlan, where she sets about convincing the frightened villagers to stand up to their tormentors. So we have Dylamug and some horde troopers. We have Shira, Bo, Madame Raz Glimmer, brief appearance from Frosta, Spartina, and Sprocker, and Sprag, and Broom. So a lot of people there. And then, of course, Kristalla, her mother and father, and the Devlan villagers. And fitting, I guess, since it aired in December, there was snow played a part into this plot. So what did you think about the whole duel at Devlan?
Somebody needs some donuts with that coffee mug.
I don't know what the
I don't know what the hell I saw when I first saw, because I haven't, like we've been saying, we haven't seen a lot of these episodes, and this is another one of those ones where it was like, Oh my god, what the hell kind of abomination is that Hordak came up with?
Yeah.
I was at a loss for words, honestly, for that, because I'm like, who is this guy? Like, he's supposed to be some weird head of the Horde troopers or something, and...
There's some weird-looking things in this series, but that one might take the cake right there.
Yeah. I like this one. It was alright. I don't have too many general thoughts on this. I don't know.
Kind of a standard episode.
Yeah, pretty much.
For the most part. Yeah.
What about you?
I mean, it's. I like that there was a little bit of a Christmas theme, I guess, for it since it aired in December, and the whole idea of having a village that's just letting the Horde bully them around because they're afraid to stand up for them. I guess that's a good message, but I think you'll hear throughout the course of the review of this one that this is by far the definition of just a standard weekly episode that's not great and that's not terrible.
They tried to make this into something, though. If you really look at this episode and then you look at the PSA, they tried to make this into an I don't think they did this intentionally, but going back and rewatching this, because I actually watched the episode twice just to make sure I understood and got what I'm going for here. They tried to make this an anti-bullying episode.
Right.
Because essentially the villagers are the ones being bullied by this dial-a-mug or dial-a-coffee, whatever the hell. It's like, hey, Starbucks, delivery. No.
Take it in a dial-a-mug, please.
Yeah, exactly. Enter your phone number here.
Right.
So they tried their best to make this an anti-bullying episode. I think it worked sort of, but it was more of the standard She-Ra message of, everyone in Etheria has to stand up for themselves,
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. Not much else to it.
Nope. Let's get to the Whispering Woods, I guess.
Tonight I asked Frosta. Wait, there she is. Frosta!
Thank you again for letting me stay over, Adora. My pleasure. It's too bad you can't stay longer. We could...
Frosta, don't leave yet. Remember your promise.
Of course, Sprocker. Where would you like it?
Over here. I've got everything already.
Promise? What promise?
Right over here.
Yes, this will do nicely. All you need is a little frosting.
Wow, thanks, Frosta. I can't wait to try it. Here I go. What fun! Adora, would you like to try it?
Maybe later, after breakfast. Well, I had better get back to Castle Chill. Goodbye, Adora. Have a safe trip.
So we have entered the Whispering Woods, and we kind of already talked about the dial-a-mug, but my first note was, it's a very different, interesting-looking hordsman.
Yeah, that's a weird-looking character.
He kind of reminds me of Rex from Toy Story. These little arms, I can't do anything with these little arms.
Yeah, pretty much. I just have no idea what they were going for with that character at all.
It reminds me of there was some. I know. It reminds me of Autobot Spike.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't think of what was Autobot Spike or BOT episode, but it's essentially Autobot Spike, but it's more intelligent than that, obviously. The big pancake thing, I was like, oh no, that's not a pancake, that's a panquake.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Let's wing it. Aren't they winging it every episode? So, on Eternia, every time He-Man came to a new village, every time we met a new character that we didn't already know, everyone already seemed to have heard of He-Man. And I understand that She-Ra is new. She's not the same as her brother as far as obviously evil runs Etheria, blah, blah, blah. But you mean to tell me that these people have not heard of She-Ra after this long a time span?
It might be one of the more remote villages, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. What do you got?
First of all, I do like the idea that they are showing the Horde as far as like pillaging around and doing stuff like that, because that seems like something a bad group would do. So, go into all the different.
They're a bunch of pyrites,
right? Our first look at Frosta. So for me, at least that I can remember, so that's an exclamation point on that. Even though we don't really get to see much, so I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing her more. Doesn't snow in Etheria, so I guess we learned something about Etheria, that doesn't regularly snow there. Also kind of gave you a snapshot of like everyday life of somebody that's in the rebellion. And they do that from time to time, but you're just kind of showing what goes on just like a normal day when they're not trying to save the planet. So I thought that was kind of cool, and I love that Adora just turns to She-Ra for no reason except to just have a morning flight. Like,
you mean Swiftwind?
No, I mean she turns to She-Ra and then obviously turns Spirit into Swiftwind just so they could have a morning flight.
Oh, okay.
It's like I'm not saving anything, but I want to go fly, so we're gonna change.
Well, that's the way you said it. It sounded like it was two different characters.
No. But how she uses the transformation not to do anything worthy except for exercise.
Yeah, well, that's what I said last time. That's what I've been saying. Since we started this series. After Secret of the Sword, it almost seems like Adora is more helpless than Adam. Like, don't get me wrong, Adam, the way his dual personality, the way his dual identity is supposed to work is he's supposed to be a little goofy and a little lazy and a little laid back to the point where he's supposed to show that he doesn't care, so that way when he's He-Man, the caring is at an over and abundance. Well, with She-Ra, it isn't like that at all. It seems like, oh, well, Adora can't do this, or I can't get this way. I can't get to this mountain without Swiftwind, so I have to become She-Ra to get to, whatever. It seems like the transformation is just used for anything.
Yeah.
It's not even a special thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I love seeing the transformation, obviously, but it just seems like it's the biggest plot device it's essentially become the Autobot Matrix of leadership.
I don't know if I go that far, but I do think it's used a little bit more relaxed than it is in He-Man. Just like the sword's used a lot differently than the sword is used in He-Man. So definitely some things that separate it a little bit from the other show. But that's all I had for Whispering Woods.
All right, Fright Zone time. We just get a repeat of the lesson we already knew, that working together, the people of Etheria can drive out the Horde. We learned that back in the Secret of the Sword.
Yeah, I still think it's somewhat decent to try to tell people to stick up for themselves and not let themselves be picked on and bullied. I mean, you could hit that every 10 episodes, and it's probably worth it. I don't know. I think it's a good message if done right. I mean, I'm not saying necessarily it's 100% done right, but I think as many times as kids can see that they need to stand up for themselves is good.
No, yeah, and I agree, but I agree for kids, yes, but for us as adults,
right,
as growing up on this stuff and whatever else, we've already learned those lessons, and it just seems to me, and maybe it's just me with how I like watching my TV and I like progression more than repetition.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems like they could have come up with something. And again, like I said, this episode just feels... I mean, there were some great moments in this, but it just feels like a generic episode.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I also don't like the Horde farms. The Horde has farms. Like, I know that like a big organization and whatnot, but that's not usually typically something that my bad, evil organization has dealings with. And the other thing is, are we supposed to know this Dylamug guy? Because the way they introduce him is like we're supposed to already know who he is. Because they don't give him a name or anything, and then all of a sudden She-Ra just calls him that. And I'm just like, oh, okay, I guess this is somebody that she already knows. It's not like a new creation. Because it could have been one of two things. It could have been something that Hordak conjured up for this episode. Like, I'm going to create this guy and put him in charge of my Horde troopers, but it came across as if this is just an everyday character that belongs in the Horde that we're supposed to know.
See, this episode, other than getting that design out, this episode could have used Scorpia.
Right.
Could have used Leech. Could have used Grizzlor. Could have used Montana. Anybody.
Dialog's not going to rank very high on my Horde trooper favorites.
I mean, the Horde troopers in general, like, there's no, and we've talked about this already. There's no character. Either they're somewhat sentient and have somewhat decent, witty, kind of punny lines sometimes, or they're just these robots. And I think this was their attempt to create some sort of Horde general, kind of like General Ratlore or something like that. I don't know. It's just any other character, any other major character that we've known of, Ratlore, Tonguelash, or like I said, Grizzlor, anybody more specific. Hell, even as much as the two of us are getting tired of seeing Catra, even she would have made this episode better.
Right. I can do without Dial-A-Mug.
Yeah. Let's dial it back and get to the awards.
This is great, madam.
You forgot the syrup!
Ready for our morning flight, Spirit?
Of course. Going anyplace special?
No, let's just wing it.
Very funny.
Now for a little sword magic. For the honor of GRAYSKULL!
Awards time. Any Horde bats?
No, nobody did anything that like really pissed me off in this episode, so I'm not gonna hit anybody with a Horde bat quite yet.
Yeah, same here. Nothing really. I mean,
like I said, it's an episode that just not a lot stands out. So
yeah, no. Protection swords?
I do have one because, like I said, we see Frosta. So
yeah,
I love Frosta,
here.
So I'm going to give her for her first appearance just like a symbolic protection sword because, hey, come back, let's see more of you.
Yep, exactly. And your Crystal Castle rating, sir?
Like I said, for this one, it's just nothing. It's not terrible. It doesn't do there wasn't like a bunch of Fright Zone moments for me, but there's nothing cool about the episode. So I'm going to put it right in the middle and give it a 2.5.
I am also going to give Frost a protection sword in case you didn't write that down. I'm going to give it a 1 out of 5.
Ouch.
It just did. Okay, folks, if I ever, and I know I've done this when we did Tales of Eternity, if I ever give a 0, it's because something is so god-awful. If I ever give a 0.5, it's something because it's so god-awful for the most part. If I'm giving a 1 or even a 2 or a 2.5, 1 specifically, if there's nothing that happens in your episode, if there's nothing that stands out, then you get a 1. I just can't give it anything higher than that because it just...
That's fair
enough. If I don't have that, oh my god, fist pump in the air moment where it's like, yeah, that was awesome, it's like, no. Not gonna happen. All right, well, you already heard me in this podcast have a loss for words, so let's get to episode 17.
But Vesser, the Horde is so powerful and so many, and we're few.
That is why we must band together, not just here in Galebreath, but all over Etheria. We are no match for their science. We're simple peasants and farmers.
If we challenge the Horde, they'll destroy our village and make slaves of all our people.
There are people resisting the Horde all over Etheria, and they are not slaves. It can be done, Theron. Time after time we have stood up to the Horde and won. The reason the Horde is still in power is that we are just a handful of people. We need your help.
Hordak, this is Imp. Are you getting all this?
Yes.
tongues of those rebels will have everyone under their spell. If there was only a way I could silence them.
I have the very thing, Hordak. May I use Mantenna?
Take him. I have no use for him.
Not me, your business. Let me go get someone from the dungeons.
Mantenna! Stay here. What do you want him to do?
Just talk, Mantenna.
Talk. I don't know what to say. How about a joke?
Come, darkness. Come, trouble. Put his voice into my bubble.
No, don't.
Louder, Mantenna. I can't hear you.
All right, next up is episode 17. Like we said, A Loss for Words. We're back into the September-October range here because it's air date of September 30th, 1985. So, back in time. Written by Drew Lawrence as far as the story goes. Teleplay by Robert Lamb and Francis Moss. Adora and Bo go to a village and try to convince potential rebels to join them in a fight for freedom. However, Hordak gets word of this and sends Shadow Weaver to magically steal their voices and capture Adora. Though she fails to capture Adora, Shadow Weaver does take her voice, preventing Adora from transforming into She-Ra. So we have Hordak, Shadow Weaver, Scorpia, Imp, Mantenna, and some Horde troopers. We just have She-Ra, Bo, as basically your rebellion members here. And then you have some villagers like we talked about that actually get named. And then a new, whatever you want to call it, sprint as far as the... What are those people called? The Twiggets?
Twiggets?
Yeah, a new Twigget
yeah.
sprint. So what did you think about the whole stealing of voice episode?
Okay, folks. All you artists out there, I want to see Ursula from The Little Mermaid in Shadow Weaver garb. Because seriously, like, I know this came before The Little Mermaid, but that's all I could think of the entire time I was watching this. I'm like, when is Flounder going to show up?
Yeah. I definitely wrote down Little Mermaid in my notes as well. So
yeah, I mean, that's all I thought. Mike, where we have in the script where you have general thoughts? Hey, look, a Little Mermaid plot before the Little Mermaid was even a thing.
Yeah, that's true. What came first?
Yeah.
I like the idea of the plot being something that, again, takes... And I've said this in the He-Man episodes as well, but anytime that we have something that's going to prevent them from going to their... I'm just going to turn into She-Ra and turn into He-Man and save the day, it adds a little bit of another layer, another element. So I like the idea that she can't say the words, so she cannot turn into She-Ra, and now we're going to have to figure out how she's going to somehow combat this as Adora, or somehow eventually find a way to get her voice back so she can become She-Ra. So I like the plot. I like the setup on this one.
Yeah, I like the setup, and I can get over my comparing it to that 1989 classic, but it's just one of those things where it just, I don't know. I just, while I was watching it, I couldn't get past it. I'm like, where's Flotsam? Where's Jetsam? Come on now.
Well, maybe they're in the Whispering Woods.
Maybe. Whispering Moat, maybe. No, but yeah, you're right. I like this one. I like the setup. I like that she can't say it. I like that I like it at any point when you have to give Adora character development, whether it's not being able to say the words to be able to transform, and like we said, this is not He-Man. I mean, she's not just... There is no palace for the rebellion here. Well,
right.
There's the Crystal... The Crystal Castle, we'll talk about that shit next week, because, oh my god, there's a whole other thing with that. But there is the Crystal Castle. There was, in Secret of the Sword, there was the Palace of Bright Moon, but I guess that apparently is now no longer, because they're always at the Rebel Camp in the Whispering Woods.
Right.
But my point here is I do like it when they find interesting ways to get Adora to have character development, because... It's not like she has a Tila training her, thank God. But, you know what I mean? It's like with Adam, we had all these plot devices of showing different character growth for him, and they've got to find a way to do that for She-Ra, and her losing her voice, that's one way to do it.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, let's go to the Whispering Woods and see if Flotsam and Jetsam are actually there.
I doubt it.
You certainly inspire me.
Why, thank you, Bo.
This place is creepy, not safe like Whispering Woods. I bet Horde patrols are everywhere.
You're not afraid, are you, Sprint?
I'm not afraid of anything.
Huh, not much you aren't.
Why, I'm so brave. People come from all over to hear my tales of daring.
Yeah, everyone likes a good laugh.
If there was a Horde trooper behind that tree, well, I'd show him. Yay!
What is it?
It's...
What is it, Brave One? Your shadow?
A Horde trooper!
We have you this time, Adora! You cannot escape!
How does it feel being wrong so often, Scorpia?
Get them!
Too many Hordsmen. We need She-Ra.
We have entered the Whispering Woods. What do you got?
I got a lot, so hopefully you got some time here.
Okay, wait a second here. I only have a few,
Okay.
so
Go for it.
maybe they should have looked before they leapt. Imp. I really like Imp in this ep. He had a lot of good lines. And in the end, poor Montana. I think it's the only time we really see Montana try to have some world-conquering aspirations, and then he thinks better of himself.
Yeah.
Gets his ass off the throne. So what do you got?
I love when Shadow Weaver comes up to Hordak and, is introducing the fact that she has this idea of stealing the voices, and she's like, "Can I use Montana?" And he's like, "I have no use for him." It's like one of your soldiers here. You're like, you have no use for him. Like I said, I like the idea of stealing their voices, a la Little Mermaid. That's a cool thing. Also, we got legit use of the strength of She-Ra and the sword to create the crack in the earth, instead of just using the strength and the sword to create something that it couldn't create. I like the idea that she sticks it in the ground and kind of creates a chasm. I can buy that. One bubble box. I mean, as cheesy as that was, it did make me laugh. I love how Shadow Weaver takes all of the voices and captures them from the 3 rebels and from Adora, and then immediately asks them a question. She's like, "Where's Adora? You just stole their voices. They can't tell you."
Somebody call Alanis Morissette. We need some ironic behavior
right
here.
We get another arrow. I don't know if we've seen the smoke arrow before, but we see it multiple times. We see it in this episode. Imp and Shadow Weaver going back and forth. That was kind of fun.
Yeah, it was.
As far as them kind of jabbing each other and whatnot. I like the line from Hordak. "That's what I hated about Skeletor, science and sorcery," and whatever else he says. So I just thought that was cool that he mentioned that. And then we also learn apparently a little bit about Shadow Weaver, because Hordak talks about how the Horde gave Shadow Weaver her powers, and that she owes everything to the Horde, and also says that she's from Mysticor.
Yep.
So some interesting side notes about Shadow Weaver. I don't know if they ever go anywhere with those side notes and ever explore that anymore, but at least we got a little bit about that. Also, Hordak calls Montana a worm. So apparently we know what type of species he is now. And did you notice they were playing charades for half the episode?
Yes.
It's like, I'm going to do hand signals. You guess what I'm saying. But that also led to a note from the Fright Zone that I'll get to later on.
Okay.
But I also like that Montana, and now for something really funny, before he puts Hordak down the trapdoor for once. And I like that when Hordak came back, he's like, "Where are the rebels? What happened to everybody?" Because he doesn't know who sent him down or where everybody went. So I thought the humor in this episode was probably the highlight. There was a lot of funny stuff between Imp, Shadow Weaver, Montana, and Hordak. All 4 of them had funny moments. So those are probably my best moments of the episode.
Yeah, absolutely. This is why Montana and some of the other some of the other Horde members need to be in more episodes. Like I mentioned a couple podcasts ago when we had an episode where it was like Catra, Leech, Montana was like 3 at once, and it's like, oh, cool, we're gonna see how all these people interact and everything else, and that's what I want more of out of this. Like, I don't necessarily want to see newer. Like, I don't want to see constant new characters. Like, I know next week we're going to get Tongue Lashor and Ratlor for about half a second, but it's one of those things where that what I think the series needs to do for me at this point is they need to focus on putting the villains like Leech and Montana and all them front and center for Hordak. Like, Hordak needs to be sending them out on missions, not just using Catcher for 7 episodes or using some coffee mug for an episode or whatever.
Well, I think too, yeah, not just that, but also like give them some focus. Like, make them the focus of the episode. I'm not saying you have to do an origin story for every single one of them or anything like that.
Oh, no,
But let them be, so we can see more about what their character consists of and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm definitely for that.
All right, jumping into the fright zone here, I have 2 things. Actually, one is an opposite of your positive.
Oh.
But the first one I wrote down, and again, it goes back to, are the Horde troopers sentient or are they non-sentient? Because if they are non-sentient, if they are just robots that Hordak controls, like the Batmechs and the Destructo tanks and all that, no robot would be afraid of heights if it is not sentient. Come on.
Yeah, I can see that.
And while you enjoyed it, you thought it was interesting, I'm sorry, sticking the sword in the ground and basically splitting the Red Sea, no. She might be the most powerful woman in the universe. No, I don't believe that at all.
But I bet you would believe it if He-Man did it.
No, I didn't believe it. I don't believe when He-Man controls water.
That's when I have a problem. But I'm just saying the idea of something being stuck in the ground and like being used as a lever is more viable.
Something, yes. The Sword of Protection, no, because even though it is a very powerful weapon, it just doesn't seem like it could. It's not a shovel.
So if she would have said sword to shovel, then we would have been all right with this.
No, I would have still had a problem with it. But, I mean, it's just one of those things where it just, I don't know. Maybe it's the way that the sword looks. Maybe that's why I can't get past it, thinking that it can do what she did with it. But she does a whole hell of a lot of things with that sword, so who knows. The PSA was freedom of speech. Yay.
Yeah, freedom of speech, I guess, that's something that people need to know about. But, it seemed like an odd thing. It was more about, teaching them to, again, stand up for themselves and to not be afraid to join something they feel strongly about, etc. But I had a couple other Fright Zone moments, too, which is...
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's right. They're playing the charades, and Adora's trying to, tell Bo different things. Bo, why would she want you to fan Hordak? Why would you come up with that as your answer? I do not want you as my charades partner. And then Scorpia, it almost felt like someone else did her voice at times in this episode. I know she was trying to do like this deep man voice, but it was weird during this episode. Like I
completely forgot she was in here.
Yeah, it got to a different deepness at times when she was doing stuff, and I was like, that sounds oddly non-female. But those are my only 2 Fright Zone moments.
Yeah. All right. Let's hand out some hardware. We'll be back in a moment.
Adora, you missed all the fun.
Well, I knew you could handle things.
Well, I didn't do it all. She-Ra came by and gave me a little help.
Oh, I see. Well, I'm sure she appreciated it. Come on, Bo. The villagers are waiting.
They broke through our trap.
I must go to the village myself. I'll steal those rebels' voices and bring them to you.
Bring Adora. I want Adora.
To the village of Galebraith with the speed of lightning.
Of course there's risk. Lesser knows that, but he's willing to join us.
It is worth the risks if we're going to be free.
Shadow Weaver, She-Ra is needed right away.
So, fools of Galebraith, you thought you would join the rebellion? Well, you will pay dearly for speaking out against the Horde. Come darkness, come trouble, put each voice into a bubble. need a box for all these voice bubbles.
One bubble box coming up.
Inside my little pearls.
Awards time. Yay. Horde bats, sir?
Yeah, I got one this time, and that is for the man that can't play charades properly. So I'll give one to Bo. Come on, she's signaling stuff. She doesn't want you to fan Hordak. That's just dumb. So, Bo for being dumb.
Same here. Bo for being just utterly stupid. He had a lower IQ in this episode than Forrest Gump had in the entire fucking movie.
Ouch.
Protection swords?
Yeah, I got a couple of them. I said I love the humor in this episode, and I think the main two people that were central to that for me, although I could give it to Imp and Hordak, but I'm going to give one to Mantenna and Shadow Weaver because I think they were pretty funny. I think Shadow Weaver had a good idea and did some funny things, and Mantenna for throwing Hordak down the trapdoor.
Yeah, I'm going to give one each to Shadow Weaver, Mantenna, and Imp. Hordak, nah. he doesn't need one. But no, those three characters, oh man, that made this episode so much fun.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this episode.
Yeah, I did too. Rating?
I guess I got to get into this because it might come as a shock to some people. But I mean, I had like 12 or 15, 20 Whispering Woods moments, and I had two Fright Zone moments, and they weren't even that. They were just more nitpicks. So I mean, the idea that number one, Adora has to do something without being able to just be She-Ra. So I like the whole stealing of the voice thing. The humor between everybody, from Hordak mentioning Skeletor and making fun of him, to Mantenna doing his hijinks, to the Imp and Shadow Weaver going back and forth. I liked just about everything about this episode, so I will give this one 5 Crystal Castles out of 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
For me, I'm just gonna take a half point off. I'll give it 4.5. It's the sword and the earth. No, it just doesn't make any damn sense to me. So 4.5 out of 5 for me.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming up next, it's Christmas time in the Fright Zone.
You can trust me, Your Galactic Highness.
Oh, can I now? Your performance against the rebellion has been less than admirable.
That will soon be changed, Horde Prime.
It had better. I'm taking a great risk leading the Velvet Club with you. This ship is the most powerful in the galaxy. Once I had 2. And I still would have if you hadn't.
Please, Slime. Prime, it will be safe in my hands. I'll use it very...
Use it? You had better not even touch it. If I find so much as a scratch on it, you'll be sorry. Very, very sorry.
Of course, Great One, of course. It will be safe in my hands.
It better be.
Excuse me, most exalted and wonderful ruler of the entire galaxy?
Yes? What is it, you bug-eyed buffoon?
Your ship is ready to take you to Tropica.
Ah, good. I've been looking forward to this vacation for 500 years. Take me to the ship.
Finally up today, Horde Prime Takes a Holiday. Take it away.
Yeah, episode 18, Horde Prime Takes a Holiday, air date October 1st, 1985. Written by the story J. Michael Straczynski, the teleplay by Bob Forward. When Horde Prime goes on vacation, he tells Hordak to look after his ship, the Velvet Glove. I didn't realize that's what the name of that ship was.
Yeah, that's what it's
Yikes,
called.
I gotta add another phrase zone moment here. The sorceress is concerned that Hordak will use the ship to attack Eternia because he said so. So He-Man enlists She-Ra's help in case of trouble. Skeletor is also concerned that his old mentor will attack him and steal his glory in Eternia, so he sets out to steal the ship for himself. So we have a whole bunch of people here. For Horde members, I guess we'll call it Horde members. We have Hordak, Mantenna, Multibot, Horde Prime, and Skeletor. And for the Rebellion, we have She-Ra, Bo, the Sorceress, He-Man, Cowl, and of course Swiftwind Spirit. And it says Orko is in this, but I don't ever remember seeing Orko.
Orko this is the only time in the series, to my knowledge, to this point anyway, he, She-Ra, and He-Man are the PSA. Only time we don't...
right, he's in the PSA. Okay,
yep.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So that's why he's credited in this episode. All right, so what did you think about the whole idea of the introduction of Horde Prime, the fact that he's taken a 2-week vacation after a long spell of work, and that we have the combination of some more Eternians?
Obviously, anytime He-Man comes into play, absolutely love it when the crossovers happen. I think this is one step below, not in a bad way, but one step below the fight between Skeletor and Hordak in Secret of the Sword, because we have the two of them going back and forth. Love that. I like how they're able to find different ways to get He-Man to Etheria. It's not just the same, oh, here's the door. Go over. Last time we had Hordak and Shadow Weaver use a mirror to get him there. Absolutely love that. I wasn't sure how they were going to do this, because normally I'm used to and I really enjoy the double transformation, but I think it's good that they're not using that, and that it's specific to Secret of the Sword, or She-Ra, whatever you want to call it. But I found it absolutely hilarious in the episode when She-Ra's like, okay, good, He-Man, I think we lost him. Yeah, he doesn't say yay, but he's like, oh, good. And then obviously I just love the way that they work around the transformations in this series. At least for He-Man, because honestly, they do a better job in getting his transformations done here than they ever did in the other series.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. I like the idea of getting all of our people together, because it's not just like, we've had some crossovers before, but this one we get the main four, so that's really kind of a cool setup with He-Man, She-Ra, Skeletor, and Hordak. So I like that setup. I think it's a weird introduction to Horde Prime in a way, because we've heard, I knew his name and this, that, and the other, but yeah. I didn't know how the hierarchy works, and I guess he's not an actual being. He's just this
in the show, he's not an actual being. I'm gonna give you a link here. A couple of years ago, I think they did, when Maddie was doing Club Eternia and everything else. They created a Horde Prime figure, and they gave him a new look and stuff, because they could essentially, with the toy, do whatever they wanted to do, because the only thing we ever saw of him was his little metallic hand. And in this, they kind of make it a weird Hordak thing. But I always thought that was weird, that it was just a giant bunch of smoke and a giant metal hand. And I'm like, okay, if this is a guy that has a giant metal hand, I'm assuming he's a giant metal robot, then how does he have a human son? Don't get me wrong, I understand why the son is there in human form, because of, needing to relate. You can't put, as much as we both would love, at least I would love to see a Masters of the Universe Transformers crossover, you can't put a giant robot. You can't put Optimus.
I just don't like the idea, and it's done in not just this cartoon. It's done in a bunch of cartoons. But when you have this all-powerful being, and then we have to make it like some light show or some, you know what I mean, just some unseen being that's all everywhere, omnipresent and stuff like that. I get what they're going for there, but I would rather in my cartoons see an actual character. So I guess that's my problem with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I guess the idea that there is somebody above Hordak and that he's leaving him in charge of something is a good setup. It's more about, it's not about the plot really for me. It's more about the execution in this one. Because usually it's like, okay, the plot is good or the plot is bad, and now let's see how they execute it. This one, it's like the plot is whatever. I could care less about the plot. I'm more concerned with how are you going to interact with all these characters and what are you going to do with them. And I think that's what this episode boils down to.
Yeah, and this is the episode that I mentioned earlier about the sword and everything else. I'll get to that a little later. But yeah, no, the character interactions were amazing. I was hoping for a little bit more of a Skeletor Hordak fight on board the ship, but I'm happy with what it was. So let's get to Whispering Woods.
Hordak plans to attack our planet.
And with a ship like that, he might just succeed.
Exactly. That is why you must go to Etheria. It will take the combined power of She-Ra and He-Man to stop Hordak's evil plan.
Well, then I'd better get ready. By the power of GRAYSKULL!
The portal will soon be ready to transport you to Etheria. Good luck, He-Man.
Thank you, Sorceress.
All right, we're in Whispering Woods. What do you got?
Quite a few things on this one again, actually. I like that Hordak calls him Slime instead of Prime. It's like, Horde Slime, I mean Prime.
Prime, yeah.
The idea that Hordak has a boss, like I said, is cool. The whole idea that the Sorceress, I guess, is somehow watching Etheria as well, or that she's at least aware of when they talk about Eternia, so that, I guess she's watching everything at all times. Skeletor, I mean, come on. You get to see Skeletor. That's pretty cool. There's a really cool shot from a visual standpoint of She-Ra flying up towards space. Mm-hmm. That looked really cool the way they did that. Of course, another name calling of Mantenna with you bug-eyed boob. Sword to shield. We get that in this episode. So She-Ra using the sword as a shield. Hordak in binoculars. I thought that was a cool look, actually. I like the way they did the binoculars and how he's just kind of looking out at them. He also has a funny line. He calls Skeletor a treacherous, two-faced turncoat traitor.
Yeah.
Which all four words mean the exact same thing. So,
yeah.
But just the whole thing, Hordak versus Skeletor, that was awesome to see. Especially Skeletor, I guess, getting the upper hand. Cool shield on Hordak with that huge bat symbol. I liked the visual on that and the style they went for there. I thought his shield was really cool. And again, just seeing the big four battle it out. She-Ra, He-Man, Skeletor, and Hordak all kind of involved in a fight. That was really cool. And we even get to see He-Man riding Swiftwind.
Yeah, that's a little strange.
That was something I didn't realize we ever got to see. So
that's a little strange.
So that was cool. What about you? What were things that you liked about the episode?
Yeah, the whole, like we said, the four main characters of both, between both series, the giant fight between Hordak and Skeletor, He-Man and She-Ra working together. He-Man trying to use his strength, pull on the rope as She-Ra's flying up there, trying to get up to the ship, and she says to Swiftwind, I don't know how high you can fly. I would assume, because most humans can't, I would assume animals can't go above a certain limit. And I know they're pressing this for time, and I'm just sitting here laughing. I'm like, that horse would have fallen to the earth by now. I mean, if you think about it realistically. But no, I love this one. I love all the lines between Hordak and Skeletor, between He-Man and She-Ra. It's just such a cool episode.
Yeah, agree.
For the Fright Zone, I believe they're sword to shield. I don't count because that is something that I think she should have. She should have a shield anyway. I don't really. He-Man had a shield a few times, or at least the toys did. I don't think he did in the series, but. That one I don't count when it comes to sort of can turn into whatever the hell it wants. But when it comes to sword to helmet, this is what I was talking about a couple weeks ago. Oh my god.
I had the sword to helmet in my fright zone as well.
Okay, I don't mind that she does it to get up there, but when she has to undo it to cut the rope to save He-Man, and she, like, okay, you've seen Titan AE, right?
I don't.
Bill, you've seen, oh, come on.
If I do, I don't remember it.
It's a Don Bluth animated film from 15 years ago. It's got Matt Damon as the lead character. It's got Bill Pullman.
I've seen bits and pieces of it.
Okay, so in one of them, the glass on the spaceship cracks and breaks, and Bill Pullman's character is like, exhale, just exhale all the way while they're floating through space trying to get to another ship. Essentially, she takes this thing off, her helmet off, in space. Her head should have exploded.
Yeah.
It really should have. I mean, that's my biggest complaint about Sword to whatever the hell is the helmet. That's always been my biggest complaint about this series, because we wouldn't have a series if they took that a little bit too literally. And then the fourth count, Sword to Snow Sled. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
God. We already mentioned this. We talked about it a little bit before, how Horde Prime in this series is just an arm or a being. I wish they would have actually done, like, instead. I don't know if it was an animation thing where they're like, we don't have, a timing thing where we don't have time to do this. But I really do wish they would have shown us a Horde Prime design. Because I just, the voice from the shadowy past, or what? It just, no.
No.
Just no.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. That's probably my biggest thing that I didn't like about the episode. Also, apparently he's worked for 500 years without a vacation. And the whole idea of somebody in this universe going on a 2-week vacation to a tropical island is just weird.
Yeah.
And then I had the sword to helmet, and then also She-Ra's, or I don't know if she was Adora or She-Ra at the time. I think She-Ra. But apparently her ass was on fire as she came into the atmosphere.
Yeah,
so
she was still She-Ra.
That was a bit weird.
That's when she did the shield. That's when she did the shield again.
Yeah. Can I get to my biggest?
Wait, 1 second. All I can think of is Yosemite Sam from Roger Rabbit. My biscuits are burning. My biscuits are burning.
Yeah. The biggest Fright Zone moment, though, I guess, is going to go to the PSA. That was the creepiest PSA ever about don't let anyone touch you in a way that's wrong. And like He-Man is like pointing at the screen like, don't let people touch you. And then he says, like, if somebody's touching you, to like see, talk to your parents. And then he's like, or talk to your minister or rabbi. I'm guessing that's bad advice that we gave our kids back in the day. Like, let's not tell them to talk to those guys at all.
Damn, I can't believe you went there.
So I don't know. That was a weird, creepy PSA.
Yeah,
it had nothing to do with the episode.
Obviously, well, there isn't.
It's not going to be an episode about that, I guess. But
no, but that's thank God.
That was just weird.
That's the thing about this episode. There really is no lesson learned here, because it's more, for me, it's more of fan service to us, showing us all the characters fighting, working together, whatever. So there really is no lesson out of this. That's one of the reasons why Lukey didn't even show up, was because thankfully he wasn't needed. I mean, yeah, I agree with you. The PSA is about the creepiest thing an 80s cartoon has ever done. I mean, that's, but it just, I don't know. Let's get to the awards. Holy crap.
Oh, that blasted Horde bully boy, that conniving claim jumper. Eternia is mine to conquer. Mine! Ship, he will be hard to beat. I have to stop him. But how? Not even He-Man could beat that flagship. Of course! If I steal that ship, not only will I stop Hordak, but I'll be able to conquer He-Man and Eternia as well. The universe will be mine to rule.
Looks like some sort of spaceship, but it's so huge.
It's big, all right, and that could mean big trouble.
Where are you going?
To find She-Ra. It looks like there's going to be trouble, Spirit. And that means I'd better say, for the honor of GRAYSKULL! I don't know how high you can fly, but we're about to find out. Up, swift wind!
All right, it is awards time. Any Horde bats?
For this one, I do have a Horde bat, and that is for Hordak. He F's up the dude's ship. He gets owned by Skeletor. It's just not a good showing for Hordak in this episode.
Nope.
What about you? Any Horde bats?
I'm going to give one to Hordak for what you just said, and I'm also going to give one to Lou Scheimer for not flushing out Horde Prime at all.
Yeah, I can see that.
Protection swords?
Yeah, a couple. I'm going to give it to Skeletor and He-Man. Skeletor gets the one-up on Hordak and makes a play for being the better villain, I guess. I guess we could have talked about this back when we did our Wars episode with these guys. And then He-Man, he came and saved the day, basically. So it was and the main reason I put him in here is because it's a rare occurrence, because they have a male character that's actually going to be the winner here, or be the one that does something that means something. So
yeah, because let's face it, Bo ain't going to do shit.
Right.
I'm going to give one each to He-Man, She-Ra, Orko, and Skeletor. Orko's just an honorary thing, just because he showed up.
Our standards are high here.
Yeah,
how many
exactly.
did you just give away? He-Man, Skeletor, Orko, and who?
She-Ra.
Okay, that's a lot of... You're almost out of protection swords.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I've never. They're unlimited. Crystal Castles?
4.5 out of 5. I'm going to knock it down a half point for the whole Horde Prime thing.
Yeah, I'm going to knock it down a whole point for the sword to helmet, taking off the helmet, nearly killing herself, and Horde Prime, so 4 out of 5.
All right, a 4 from you and a 4.5 from me. We're giving these episodes good marks today.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting as this series progresses. For now, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back to close the show after this.
She-Ra and I want to talk to you about something that's very personal. Your body.
Remember, it's your body and no one should touch you in a way that you feel is wrong.
I'll get anybody who tries it.
It's not that easy, Orko. It's hard for a young person to admit that he or she has been touched in a bad way.
If you've been touched that way, don't be ashamed. Tell someone you trust, like your parents, your doctor, your teacher, or counselor, or your minister or rabbi.
Right, Orko?
Right on!
Pixels in the Animation is the GeekCast Radio Network's video game cartoon review show. We are covering every episode of 9 different video game cartoons. Join TV's Mr. Neil and myself, TFG1Mike, as we trek through multiple Mario tunes, Zelda, Captain N, Mega Man, Sonic, and we are also driving through Donkey Kong Country. Pixels in the Animation is 100 episodes of video game cartoon goodness, so tune in to help us find the Pixels in the Animation, which you can find every Wednesday on iTunes and www.geekcastradio.com.
It's Showtime Synergy. The latest review podcast from the GeekCast Radio Network is here. So join TFG1Mike, Nicole Hailstorm, and myself, Lady Rec, as we will be reviewing all 65 episodes of Joe and the Holograms in a 25-episode-long podcast. You can find Showtime Synergy on iTunes and GeekCastRadio.com. We are the truly outrageous podcast that you want to be listening to.
He-Man. I am He-Man. Call She-Ra and me at 1-900-909-2233.
We'll journey to distant worlds, explore the universe.
And probably battle Skeletor along the way, huh?
Probably, Orko. There's a new adventure every day. We'll also tell you how to get an action figure or this colorful poster. Get your parents' permission and call 1-900-909-2233.
I have the power! right, we are back. Do we have anything to bring up before we get out of here?
I'm in a good end to the little season here as we get ready to take our holiday, but I ended with a 5 and a 4.5. So even if the first episode wasn't very good, I do like what we see here. I'm liking the amount of crossovers we're seeing with Eternians, and I guess my only hope for the new year is that we get to see some more characters that I know were in this series somewhere, and maybe some more in-depth look at some of those characters, whether it be Horde members or whether it be the other ladies.
Yep. Yeah, because there's not too many more male characters that come into this show.
No.
It's pretty sad when He-Man has to come in and, pump them up.
Did you really just say that?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
It's a Hans and Franz reference, folks. Watch Saturday Night Live. Thank you for listening to Myths of Etheria. If you'd like to get in contact with us or leave feedback for the show, there are several ways to do so. Visit the website, GeekCastRadio.com, where you can comment on all of our posts. Leave the show's feedback in iTunes. Please do this. Call the voicemail line, 502-526-5821. Tell us the show you're leaving the message for and your name. Follow us on Twitter. At Pal of GRAYSKULL is the show Twitter. You can follow at GeekCast Radio. Mine is TFG1Mike. What is your Twitter?
At OptimusSolo.
Become a fan on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/GeekCast Radio Network. We hope you enjoyed the myths today, and don't forget to join us on our next adventure when we'll take a look at the next 3 episodes, those being The Enchanted Castle, 3 Courageous Hearts, and The Stone and the Sword. For now, I am TFG1Mike with...
one and only OptimusSolo.
By the power and for the honor of GRAYSKULL, you all have the power.
Do, 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 do.